lecturing.
So can we just go to the data, CNN's own data from our own data analyst Harriet? President Trump has an 87% approval rating among Republicans, which is higher than Barack Obama's approval rating among Democrats at this point in his term, higher than where George W. Bush was in his term. He is the strongest, for his own party, strongest president at this point in his second term in the modern era. That's number one. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, had a falling out with the president over politics. He showed her a poll that said she couldn't win statewide in Georgia.
That's exactly
she got
what it
mad.
was.
She got mad. And by the way, she stands with a group of isolationists who just happen to disagree with the president over, say, taking away Iran's nuclear weapons and some other issues. That's fine. He's the president. She's not. And if you want to talk about whether the president has a hold on his party or whether he's a lame duck, I'll just submit that when he withdrew his endorsement of Greene, she lasted a week and then had to resign from Congress. That's not weakness. That is
everything's lecturing.
So can we just go to the day?
Wow. What's up, guys? How we doing? I'm here to announce that the death of MAGA has been overly exaggerated and a little early reported because, man, oh man, after last week, Trump has been on a roll. Holy smokes. So, guys, we got to cover this today. I'm going to go through everything that happened this last week during Thanksgiving, and you might have been too busy to see it, and I get it. I hope you had time with your family and friends. Hope you had a blast. Hope you got full and enjoyed the feast and all the other good stuff. I just, hope you were thankful and blessed. And yep. And if you missed the news, don't worry. I'm going to catch you up because holy smokes, it's getting wild out there. Everything changed this past week, and it's very interesting. It happened over Thanksgiving. I don't think it was coincidence. I think they launched these new initiatives on purpose when it was a little slower. The media's on vacation because they timed it perfect to get everything going when people were asleep at the wheel. But are you guys ready? Because America First is back. Trump just went double down in a way that is pretty scorched earth, pretty crazy. And for those of us who are here for it, for those of us who know what's going on, we're going to be very happy as it goes forward. So MAGA ain't dead. America First is back. Trump has owned it all over again. And the deep state, the Democrats, they are in for a very, very bad time, and they are freaking out as a result. So before we get started, like, subscribe. Thank you very much. Smash that like. Help the algorithm promote this video. I appreciate you guys. My last video did excellent compared to what my lives have been doing, which is I'm very grateful to you for that. Thank you so much. And it just shows that we are tracking on what is actually going on. It's starting to pick up. But let me say hey to some peeps, and we're going to get right into it. What's up, Vince? I see what you did there, Vince. Alice Ford on what's going on. C. Rob, how we doing? Scott Volkovich, Frank Anastasio, CA Human, how we doing? David, I see JP Morgan move their gold train to Singapore. I don't have an opinion on that, except that I think a lot of people are preparing for possible upheaval in the markets in the next few months. That's the only thing I can think of. Cass Sink, what's up? Michael Tucker, how we doing, friend? Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. And again, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. All right. So last week, in case you missed my video or didn't pay attention to the news, the National Guard, we had 2 of them shot in DC on Wednesday, and one of them died, unfortunately. The woman died. She was shot, I believe, point blank in the head. Just horrible, horrible stuff. And instead of just doing platitudes about it, Trump then responded with one of the most intense messages he's ever sent out. And we need to go through this. So here it is in its entirety. As you can see, it's very long, and I am going to take the time to go through almost all of it right here because it's important. It's important to see where we're headed. Now, look, you guys know it's a war. I mean, we're in a war. We're in a psychological war. We're in an intelligence war for our minds, for the soul of our country, for the future of our country. And what's been going on the last few weeks It is ramped up extremely. Okay. And I've been walking you all through this, how the PSYOP has gone to all-time highs. And on top of that, as I'm saying this, as I'm teaching you guys, showing you guys what's going on, then we get the Seditious Six video, telling the military basically to ignore Trump's orders. And I know they use it's just ignore illegal orders, but that's BS. And we've gone through it, so I don't need to revisit it. You can go watch my old videos to get the whole breakdown on that. But it's ramping up, and they are really building it up. And then we get this shooting last week. And all this was to take advantage and hurt Trump. Okay. They are trying to overthrow him. This is a color revolution. This is what happens in countries. This is what we would do. We would send our CIA into other countries, and we would subvert them by first using media intelligence, messing with the people's minds, ginning up revolutionaries, just weakening them by getting their, whether it's importing immigrants or breaking down their culture through psychological warfare, whatever it is, it's all from the intelligence way. It's how we overthrew governments without having to get involved violently. Okay. With having to put troops on the ground. This is exactly what we did in 2014 with Ukraine. Obama and Biden led that one. You just keep putting pressure on the government. Well, when you're the most powerful government in the world, which is us, the most powerful country in maybe world history, it has to look a little different because an outside country won't be able to do it. They can try, they can whittle away over time, but it takes dissidents on the inside to really pull this off. And we are seeing that. It's not coincidence that the people who put out that video, many of them were ex-CIA. Alyssa Slotkin is ex-CIA. Democrat senator from Michigan. She is ex-CIA. Okay, so that's not coincidence. They know exactly what they're doing, and they were trying to use that as, hey, we have ties to the military. We know what we're talking about, but no. The truth is many of them have ties to intelligence agencies as well as the military, and they know exactly how to subvert. And what you do is you start casting doubt, and you start making it harder and harder to galvanize around your country. Now, they have a few problems. A, the military in this country is like 95% behind Trump. They love him. We still have a testosterone fueled military. We do. It's like, that's where many of the real men are. They tried to turn it woke, and they weren't succeeding. They were making strides. I'll say that. They were making movement forward, but they didn't succeed because the troops never got woke. They never did, but they tried to subvert it by getting in woke generals and all that, Milley and all, who I'm talking about. So, but it didn't work. And as soon as Trump got in, Hegseth gets in front. It was easy to get our military back. So the military is not in any danger of turning against Trump, which is the big issue they have, because without the military, they're never going to be able to get where they want to go. And that's why they're trying everything right now. They're throwing it all out there. So in response to the shooting, though, this is important because you got to remember that illegal immigration has been the thing that has crushed our middle class along with the free trade. Okay, because you get the immigrants in, they start taking the entry level jobs because they'll stay at that level. They don't look to get promoted. People can pay them under the table. It's a lot cheaper if you pay an immigrant $7.50 an hour or a teenager $7.50 an hour. The immigrant's cheaper because you don't have to pay Medicaid, Social Security taxes for them. There's all kinds of reasons this is cheaper. There's all kinds of, and you go to construction zones, they keep the wages down, you go to the farms, all that. So you're undercutting these entry-level jobs, which would be for low-skilled workers or teenagers trying to build themselves up. You take that away. So now that entry ramps off. It starts making housing more expensive because you got to put all these people somewhere. We're giving them tons and tons of benefits. So that's all watering down, and it's crushing our society. It's crushing our morale. It's crushing our next generation. So you put all that together, and then they already know that all that's in place, and they've brought in terrorists, they've brought in sleeper cells. All this is true. Now, Trump has been, and I've been telling you guys this all year as people getting frustrated, you have to put the pieces on the deck, on the chessboard. You cannot go for the king immediately. And that's what drives me nuts about all the people who are like, arrest, arrest, arrest. Why aren't arrests happen? Well, if you've ever played chess, it takes a while to get to the point where you can go after the king, even after the queen. You have to position yourself. The entire game of chess is positioning and trying to just stay one step ahead of your opponent. You can't just put a pawn on that board, get a bishop, and slam it into the king and say, checkmate, I win. That's not how chess works. And for all those calling for arrest, that's what they're asking for. They're asking for the chessboard to not really be there and to just go for it. Well, you got to remember, we have an enemy. They're well funded. They're well dug in. And even though they are on their back foot, even though they are losing, we're a few steps ahead of them. And we won't lose unless we take our foot off the gas. At the same time, it's still a dance. It still takes a while to get to that king. And that's what Trump's doing. Now, we've been doing that all year. And with this shooting, Trump has now kicked it up into overdrive. And this tweet is the beginning of it. But this is not the only thing he put out. And we have quite a few things to go through today. But everything is different now. Everything changed last week. And I'm going to show you how and why. So let's go through this one first because it's the longest. Remember, he put this out less than 24 hours after the Guardsmen were shot. So this is a direct response to what happened when they were shot by an Afghan. Technically, he was here legally, but it's the Biden process. Oh, and by the way, just to speak to that real quick, a lot of people hit me up on my last video being like, oh, and these are mostly trolls or Democrat or super liberal losers, trying to make a correction to me. And they were like, well, Trump approved this guy. That's not the truth at all. This Afghani came over under Biden, not vetted, and then applied for asylum last year, was granted or was going through the courts, and then in April was granted that asylum by the system. Now, so yes, he was granted it under the Trump administration, but the Trump administration had only been in for 3 months at that point. And you guys know the Trump administration is dealing with a bureaucracy, judges, an entire, even the intelligence agencies, the DOJ. It's fully corrupt and full of hacks, full of deep staters that are trying to undercut him at every opportunity. Okay, so this is not like, it's not like Trump approved it, but people were like, he was approved under Trump, it's Trump's fault. Yeah, obviously that's not how it works. Okay, you have to be an absolute moron to think it through that way, but that's what they do. That's what they do because they want us to all be discouraged. They want us to second guess. They want us to think that Trump is technically actually just letting all this happen anyways. And it's all on him. This is what, obviously the left is pushing this narrative, but this is also what the Groyper types, the America only types, the libertarians, this is what they are all, this is why they're so stupidly saying Trump's deep state. He's just one of them. It's because they're too either idiotic or too evil, for lack of a better term. Malicious maybe is a better way of saying it. They're either too malicious or stupid to understand what we're really dealing with here. And so they're going to paint false narratives because of either of those areas. Many of these people, I was telling my son today, like 95% of people do not understand our politics. It's that bad. That is how horrible the education is in this country and understanding our government, our politics. And that's why you have 5% controlling everything or educating everything on this, leading the narratives. And it's very easy to get sucked up because most people And, to their credit, they got too much to do. They got their own lives to worry about. That's fine. They can't be worried about what's going on nationally or internationally. That's really hard to do. But the problem is most of them don't even spend 30 minutes a week catching up. And that would actually go a long way. But there's very few people like myself or you guys even watching this that are trying to really stay up to date on everything. But that gives a lot of power to those who do and to those who have the money to get their narratives out there. And unfortunately, a bunch of morons with large followings are getting that narrative out there, but they also are completely politically illiterate. That's a big problem. So anyways, all that said, let's get to what Trump's response is here, because again, everything is now changed after last week. He said, a very happy Thanksgiving salutation to our great American citizens, patriots, been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and plain stupid when it comes to immigration. The U.S. foreign population is at 53 million people. That's insane. That is insane. That's 1 out of every 7 people in America is now an immigrant. Are you kidding me? And that's of the 2020 census. Because he says that's from the census. How much worse is it actually now after Biden? Can you believe that? 1 out of 7 people here in our country is not from here. That's crazy. Most of which are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels. They and their children are supported through massive payments from patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. They put up with what's happened in our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. And he's absolutely right. We just haven't been fighting back. And because most Americans just want to be left alone, most Americans just want to be nice. We want to get along and not complain, and we'll put our heads down, worry about our own lives. But the truth is, we have allowed this to happen on our watch, where we just let things get worse and worse and worse without doing anything about it. And this is, you can compare this to all sorts of things. Mold in your house, rot, trouble in your marriage, whatever. It's like people just don't want to deal with problems. And unfortunately, it's human nature to not want to confront problems head on. And that's what we did. And now look where it's gotten us. A migrant earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family. So you think of between SNAP benefits, maybe Section 8 housing, vouchers to certain things, free health insurance. Yeah. So 50,000 yearly benefits. The real migrant population is much higher. This refugee burden is a leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II, failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. Listen, in Charlotte, which is half hour from where I live, the ICE came to Charlotte about a week or two ago, 10 days ago, and started doing raids. And in one day, our school population, kids going to school, dropped 23% in one day because all those migrants were hiding and they weren't bringing their kids in now. 23% in a day. That's almost 1 out of every 4 students. You talk about overcrowded schools, that's insane. That's pathetic. That's scary. That's scary. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope they will be left alone. The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. God, I love Trump. I know that's offensive to a lot of people, and I'm sorry. Get over it. We brought it back. Obviously, he's just saying he's stupid, but I love it. Just call it like it is. Does nothing either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congresswoman in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab and who probably came to the USA illegally, in that you are not allowed to marry your brother. Holy crap, he's going hard. does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, how badly she's treated when our place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation, essentially not even a country, for lack of government, military, police, schools, etc. So there's the setup. Here's the payoff. Even as we've progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains and living conditions for many. Here it is. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. That is massive. So as of right now, we are permanently pausing all migration from third world countries. Now, before, I know most people watching this won't be upset by that, but there are going to be people who cry out, there are people who need refugee status. There's so many people, they need sanctuary. I get it. And I'm not, anti-human. I understand, like in the old days before we were in such a mess, we could provide a safe haven to some people from third world countries. And people are people. I feel for them. I truly do. Some live in their horrible circumstances. And think of all the Cubans who came over here that have been wonderful for our society. Cubans leave communist Cuba. They come across on boats. They get sanctuary here and they plug in. They become Americans. They become conservative Americans. They're super Republican. They love capitalism. That's what we want. That's what we want. But the problem is we're sick now. We're a sick country. And we have to cleanse the virus. And the virus is we have way too many here. And there's no way. Trump's basically saying we cannot do this while also, we can't do this slow if we're going to get better. He's saying it's time to detox. And putting this forward is huge. This is just like the Muslim ban in the first term that caused an uproar. This is going to drive them crazy. The main, all the main media shows were off last week. So expect this week with them all coming back. This is all you're going to hear about. This is going to be an all-out assault on the Trump administration for how evil they are and how inhumane. And it's going to really ramp up. But I tell you what, America First, MAGA, loves this because this is Trump saying, I'm done. We played nice. We were slow rolling it. We were trying to please those who, were accusing us of being inhumane while also, but he's like, nope, the game's over. The National Guardsmen were attacked. And this is really a shout to the deep state. He's saying, I know what you guys are up to. I know what you're trying to do. I understand. I see the color revolution happening. I see how you're trying to undermine me, how you're trying to destroy my presidency, trying to get America back. You guys, I've been setting you up. And now you guys just took a shot, because I truly believe that Afghans immigrant, that was a setup. There's no way in hell this guy just decided to come into Washington, D.C. from Washington State and just decide to go shoot National Guardsmen. That is insanely stupid. It makes no sense. And shout Allahu Akbar the whole time. They're trying, it was all set up to get us all focused on terrorists again, Islamists, and so they can try to get us back into war and play. But Trump's not playing that game. So he's basically sending a shot across the bow. Okay, guys, here's the game. You took your shot. I'm literally shutting it all down. What are you guys going to do when I get rid of all of them? How are you going to run your system? Because they don't have that many regular people, Americans, on their side anymore. Even the Americans who hate Trump, most of them who don't even like the Republicans or MAGA or whatever, most of them aren't violent. Most of them aren't going to engage in this stuff. They're just waiting until the next election. They need these immigrants to do this. They need the people on SSRIs that they can control, MK Ultra. They need all those people, but there's not that many of them. And so the immigrants were the ones they constantly bring in. They're much easier to control because they can give them free benefits. They're under the table. They're off the grid. Much easier to control. They have no allegiance to America. So you take all them out, you're going to lose all their ability to run these false flags, whatever. They're all positioned or steal from us, all of it. It's going to crush them. And what's Trump's been doing before he did this, he was already drying up the funding. The NGOs, bye-bye. Scott Bessent looking up the funding to Antifa and all this. It's all just being plugged. They were putting the chess pieces in place. And now Trump just put down one of his biggest implementations of policy that's going to seriously hurt them and seriously rebuild our country. He says, I will permanently pause migration, allow the U.S. to fully recover. I'll terminate all the millions of Biden's illegal admissions, including those signed by Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who's not a net asset to the United States. You hear that? That is a huge statement right there. Remove anyone not a net asset. In other words, if you're on the welfare system and you're an immigrant, goodbye. We're not playing a game anymore. You're dragging on us. You're gone. Sorry. You seem like a nice person. You're gone. I don't care, because you're not contributing to us. Why did you even come here? Just to live off our safety net? Nope. You're gone. We're not Europe. Go over there. That's what Trump's saying right here. This is huge. This is huge, because not only is this language, because this is going to be hard for Trump to implement, like 53 million. No, even with ICE surging next year, you're not going to be able to deport them all. But with this kind of language, you're going to get a lot of them to self-deport. And that's also huge. Or is incapable of loving our country and all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens of our country, denaturalize migrants. That's migrants who even became citizens. Denaturalize them who undermine domestic tranquility. So if you're violent or cheering on terrorist organizations, anti-American, anything like that, gone. We don't even care if you're a citizen. We'll denaturalize you. Deport any foreign national as a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. That's huge right there. Non-compatible with Western civilization. That means fundamentalist Islamists, gone. Incompatible. It's just the truth. It's like, this is what we need. This is what we need. We've always, James Madison said, we've given you a republic if you can keep it. This government is wholly inadequate for anybody but a morally and religious people. In other words, the country that was built, the founding fathers knew they had to still, culture was always the thing that had to be shared in order to keep our country together. Always. You change that culture, you lose the country. And that's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to bring in so many other cultures that dismantles us from the inside. And then nobody's banding around the Constitution anymore. Nobody's cheering American values anymore. Nobody's fighting for the American way anymore, the family structure anymore, the American dream. It's all gone. That's what they wanted. But we got a miracle in Trump, and he's trying to end this. But these are huge words coming from him, because it means he's listening. It means he knows. All the complaints about Trump lately, what has it been? It has been, all the complaints lately has been, he's not listening. He doesn't get it. Our country's falling apart. Trump's too buddy with them. He's not really going after harvest. This is just Trump right now is telling us he understands the whole thing. This is very important that he put this out there. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure the situation. There it is. Reverse migration. Get them out. Push them out. Basically, this tells me that from here forward for the next few years, we're barely going to let anybody in. It's going to be, our population is going to go down, which in this case is a good thing. We need the population of Americans to rise, not legal immigrants. And Trump, I'm sorry, but the whole nonsense, the economic nonsense of we need these people is such BS. It is such BS. Americans won't do those jobs. Yeah, right. BS. Watch what happens when they're gone. Watch what happens. Americans eventually will step back up. There's going to be a transition process, but it'll happen. It'll happen. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, destroy everything America stands here. You won't be here for long. I love that so much. It's just beautiful. You won't be here for long. So again, this whole message, there's so much in it, but that is the shot against, he shot across the bow, and he followed it up with this. The Immigration and Nationality Act. He didn't even add anything. He's just posting the act. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or class of aliens in the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary suspend the entry of all or any class as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. That's the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 212. He's posting the law. In other words, he's like, come at me, bro. You want to take this to court? Come at me. I've already got the law backing me up. And this is going to be challenged, and there's going to be corrupt judges. They're going to try to slap a ban on this. Good luck. But they're going to try. The Supreme Court will uphold it. But it's, we're going to go through the legal fight, but he's already shown, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this. This is going to happen. So get ready. Get ready for this. What's up, Johnny Strayhorn? Michael Tucker asks, how come the Epstein files are no longer the liberal battle cry? Careful what you wish for, idiots. Exactly. Well, yeah. They never thought it would pass. They never thought Trump would allow it. Kinder says, I don't think so. A lot of Republicans are very dissatisfied with Trump. Yeah, okay. Come on. When you say Republicans are dissatisfied with Trump, now, first of all, this right here, what Trump just did, he just won back in this one message. So there's a reason I started the video today, the live today, with Scott Jennings bringing the receipts with Trump's approval amongst Republicans at 87%. Okay. He has almost 90% approval within the party. That's unheard of. That's the strongest of any president ever that's been recorded in their second term. And it's not even close. I think a couple others had like 72. Trump's at almost 90%. So when you say Republicans aren't happy with him, no, that's BS. There's a very, very small contingent of people, and most of them are either neocons, who I don't give a F what they think anyways, because they're not true Republicans. They are warmongers, and they were using the Republican Party, but whatever. And then the other ones are the people who think he just hasn't been doing enough, especially when it comes to immigration, when it comes to prices, all that, or he's too close to Israel. It's a very small minority of Republicans, very small. He just won half of them back with this one tweet or truth. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Watch me. His approval ratings go up. This week, we're going to get back reports of his approval rating rising. I'm just telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, after this, Trump they're already following it up with action. So you have stuff like this, like Rubio. It's been revealed Marco Rubio's State Department told diplomats to destroy visas that would have been given to Afghans. So diplomats were told to conduct scheduled interviews, but not to give out visas regardless of the interview's outcome. Again, this is telling you that they are following up on it. No third world at all. You're not coming in. No visas. Destroying their visas. He just cut off all Afghanistan, which I'm okay with. Listen, we cannot afford anybody who's not giving anything right now to our country. We can't afford that right now. So get them all out. Number one. Okay. Number two, we can't afford any more until we are strong again to have anybody in our country who does not align with our values. So I'm sorry. No Muslims can come in. I'm sorry. Islam is the most anti-American religion there is. It is against everything we stand for. And so it cannot happen. And I'm sure we could think of a couple other small things here and there, but Islam is seriously the one that is the most important. So Trump, this is basically the Muslim ban that he just implemented again on steroids. Keep them out. You can't come in. So no more welfare benefits, no more people sucking off the system, and no more people coming here who will be allegiant to another country first or another religion first over what we share in values. Okay. And these people, when they come over, that's, you see it. You see it with the Pakistani flags. You see it in these major uprisings that were happening at the Ivy League schools last year, the riots. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. And you can't trust it either because you don't know if you're letting in sleeper cells. I mean, here's Tom Homan. Listen to what he has to say about this issue. It's enlightening.
Understand, in these third world nations, they don't have systems like we do. So a lot of these Afghanistans, when they did get here and get vetted, they had no identification at all. Not a single travel document, not one piece of identification. And we're going to count on the people that run Afghanistan, the Taliban, to provide us any information who the bad guys were or who the good guys are? Certainly not. And many people need to understand that most terrorists in this world, most of them, aren't in any database. Because unless they were found on a battlefield by DOD and did a retina scan and did some biometrics there, unless you're part of a T3 undercover investigation, we don't know who they are. So, and the same thing with illegal aliens, that over 10 million that came across the border in Joe Biden. There's no way to vet these people. You think El Salvador or Turkey or Sudan or any of these countries have the databases or system checks that we have? Do you think the government of China, Russia, Turkey, you think they're going to share that data with us even if they did have it? There's no way to clearly vet these people, 100% that they're safe to come in this country from these third world nations. President Trump's doing the right thing, reviewing every one of these people that came under the Biden administration and drilling down on them. I really, truly think that most of them are going to end up being deported because we're not going to be able to properly vet them.
How crazy is that? That's something we've never heard before. That most of these people cannot even be properly vetted. Like that's a crazy thing. We were told these people were entered illegally. The Biden administration told us they were thoroughly vetted. They we didn't let anybody. They, like lies. But the point is, they've been lying to us for much longer than that. I mean, I never heard an official admit to this before. And so, what have we been doing? Well, when you put all the pieces together, there's only one answer. This has been a continual, purposeful attack on our society by bringing these people in, just to drain us, to bring us down, to ruin us. But thankfully, the Trump administration is all about it. Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen reports he's been sounding some warnings lately on what's going on. I love this new Trump energy. I'm getting flipping over the table money vibes. Absolutely. Absolutely. The vibes are strong in this. And I got to share with you guys this one. It's just too funny. Homeland Security responding to this Old State Saloon tweet. Anyone who helps ICE identify and ultimately deport an illegal from Idaho gets free beer for a month at Old State Saloon. And the Homeland Security official account posted this. I mean, oh my God, guys. This is the energy I'm talking about. This is the fun, the camaraderie. This is America. America is not this toxic, empathic country that is suicidal, that is like so wanting to give to others that we'll die ourselves. That's not who we are, because that's suicide, not just for us, for our kids. It's one thing to be like, I want to give. I want to sacrifice. I want to do something to help. That's fine. Greater love has no man than to lay his life down for another. That's good. But that's not what we've been doing. We've been asking everybody to sacrifice. We've been asking our kids and our grandkids to sacrifice their futures. Not personally, I'm not asking that. You're not asking that. But our government has been telling us we have to do it, basically. We have to do it for people we don't know, for people that hate us, for people that will be more allegiant to their old country, to people who wouldn't want to hang out with us, to people who want to build their own little societies amongst us, to people who would take us over, to people who would gladly freeload off of us, off our hard-earned dollars. This is what we've been forced into. But that's not who we are. Americans, we share a society. We share true Americans. We have humor. We're fun. We love each other. We want to do something together. America, it's that spirit, that American spirit. There's pride there. And that's what we are. That's who we are. It's that independence. It's that respect for one another. But there's always been a fun aspect of it too. You going back, even growing up, I didn't grow up in like Americana, which is like the 50s, the big boom after World War II. And when you were, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and there was still a big vibe of this. It was still most people. And that has been slowly eradicated over the past decades. This is what we want. This is how we do it. This is how we fight. This is how we win. It always starts with the culture first. And when we have a government that finally understands American culture, and even posting something small and just silly like this shows me it's Americans in charge again. We've been missing this. And I love it. Right here, Rich Barris, People's Pundit, again, along with Rasmussen, the best pollster out there. Says, as I say it, folks, stay tuned. Donald Trump's proposal is actually very popular. Andrew and Jack were right. He's talking about Jack Posobiec and Andrew Colvett. So we're going to get polling on this soon. This is going to infuse Trump and the Republicans into 2026. So all that dooming of the last few weeks, that's gone. Trump has just completely flipped the tables. The Epstein files are coming. It's going to hurt Democrats. He's going to solve healthcare, or at least fix aspects of it. Democrats are going to have to come on board with some of that, because otherwise their base will be pissed at them, because they're the real people who vote Democrat, not the 20% crazies, but the other 25% who just want benefits and who vote for the Democrats for bigger government because they want more from the government. They're scared. They want the government to take care of them. They're going to demand it. So that's coming. And now he just did this and just brought back together America First. So watch for that, but watch for this momentum to continue. Scott Bessent backing it up says, immediately we're cutting off all federal benefits to illegal aliens. Now, I can't wait to see how they pull this off, because it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a fight. But that's going to save us billions and billions a year, and it's also going to make a lot of them choose to go home. The last numbers we got, which is over a month ago, probably because of the shutdown, they don't have the latest numbers up to date. But about 6 weeks ago, we got the latest numbers that have, so far in the year, 2 million had left. And 500 to 700,000 of those had been deported. And then the other over 1 million had been almost 1.5 million self-deported, just because the Trump offer and just because they didn't want to deal with being scared, having to deport. Imagine how many more are going to leave once the benefits dry up. But again, Trump, it's not just words. He's backing it up. Treasury announced it will issue proposed regulations clarifying the refunded portions of certain individual income tax benefits no longer available to illegal and non-qualified aliens. Do you see what he just said here? Even those ones who pay tax, it was taken out of their paychecks, they're not going to get a tax refund because they're not supposed to be here anyways. I love this. This is the energy we want, because a lot of that money is going to be repatriated. They'd send it overseas anyways, or back to Mexico. It's not going to be invested in our country. So why give it back to them? In other words, you're illegal. You don't get our tax benefits. If you give us money, well, you're illegal. We're keeping it all. This is the energy we need, because we have to make it so uncomfortable to be here illegal that you don't even want to come in. And what we did was the opposite. You're illegal. You can come in. You can pop out a baby. They become a naturalized citizen immediately because of, birth, being birthed here and being able to, because, well, hopefully that's struck down soon by the Supreme Court. But then you get benefits from that. You get welfare from that, by the way. And then blue states are handing out driver's license to illegal. They're like, we're sanctuary state. We'll treat you like a citizen. So you have all these reasons to come here. Well, most of that money comes from the federal government. Most of that welfare money, that's the states take it, they process it, and they distribute it. But ultimately, it all comes back to the federal government giving it out. They can cut this off. And so now, if you're an illegal immigrant thinking about coming over here, you're like, what's the point? Now I'm not going to get free stuff. Now I'm going to be hunted down. Now it's going to be harder for me to get a job up there. This doesn't sound fun anymore. This is not the wide open gates that I was promised. This is not the free ride I was promised. They're taking it all away. And this is how you get most of them gone. Because if you're an illegal immigrant family and you're staying here, well, the reason you're staying is because it's easy. You get the benefits, you're living the better life. Those dry up. Well, now you're worried about them finding you to deport you. So you're hiding still. And now you don't get that free food. Now you don't get that free housing. All that dries up, you're going to leave because you don't want to be hunted your whole life. If you get the benefits, you might sit it out a while. No longer. This is huge. This is huge. And this has all happened this last week. And Trump kept going. He didn't stop. Here's more. Now, here's the Trump who won the popular vote, says Barris, but he says, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and of no further force of effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. Radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I'm hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else not directly signed by Crooked Joe Biden because the people who operated in the auto pen did so illegally. Biden was not involved in the auto pen process, and if he says he was brought up and charged of perjury. Thank you for the attention of this monitor. Listen, this means that Trump is going to attempt, and I say attempt because it's going to go through the legal process of the courts, and will be very interesting to see how the Supreme Court rules on this. But this is him attempting to also undo Biden's pardons. That's the biggest thing of all this, because the executive orders, Trump could just undo those anyways. But this, he didn't want to say that, because saying you're undoing a pardon, that's going to bring up a lot of red flags to people. That's going to bring up if people just read that and saw I'm undoing his pardons, they said, that's unconstitutional. And you get this huge blowback, even from Republicans, dumb Republicans, but still there's a lot of dumb Republicans. You get that blowback. So he doesn't mention the pardons, but the executive orders, he's already undone most of them. Executive orders are easy to undo. But by him saying any document signed, canceling anything else not directly signed, that's the pardons. And so we're looking at Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Adam Schiff, Fauci, all of them pardoned. Hunter Biden. Actually, Hunter Biden was signed by Biden. It was the one that was signed by him. But Biden pardoned 8,000 people. So Trump's just declared that he's going after undoing 7,999 of them. And, yeah, just as in the chat, I think wrote, Ketanji Jackson Brown, the 9th member of the Supreme Court appointed by. Now, this is going to be a tough one. Don't get me wrong. This is going to be very tough because the Supreme Court, as an institution, even if they rule that the pardons are illegal, and he can undo the pardons, it's going to be very difficult for them to rule to get rid of one of their own members. Because even if Biden auto pen signed it, she was approved by Congress. So that's going to be a tough one. I honestly don't think we'll get rid of her. Because I don't think the Supreme Court will rule to get rid of one of their own, even if they don't like her, even if, it's just because it'll set a precedent. They won't want to set. We'll see. I could see Alito and Thomas voting for it just on the merits, but the others, they might not have the stomach for it. We'll see what happens. But the pardon part, I could see them allowing that. So it's going to be very interesting, because this is not, there's no way to parse this in the Constitution other than the fact that it's just says the president is allowed to do this. But if it's an auto pen and they have any evidence at all that Biden didn't sign those personally, he didn't sign off on them, that's going to get real crazy real fast. But this is what I'm here for. I'm here for this. Again, this is just after the immigration post. I mean, this is Trump declaring full on war on the deep state. He's all on now. He's basically saying, like, everything you guys did that even is a hint of illegal, all the legal stuff you guys did, I'm going to go after it, through policy, whatever. But they didn't do that much that it's legal. Most of the damaging stuff they've done has been illegal and subverting our Constitution, subverting our laws. And Trump is now announcing, I see you guys. I'm undoing all of it. I'm not going to play this game anymore that we don't go after past administrations. I'm not going to play this game anymore that it's just a politics game of saying, well, we disagree with, but we're going to honor it. That's all out the window. Him saying, 92%, I have a feeling they have a lot of receipts on this stuff. And with those receipts, we're going to see a lot. Welcome to the end of 2025. This is the end of year one, Trump 2. Trump V2 year one is ending, and it is ending on fire. Just get ready for what's going to come at the beginning of year 2. I cannot wait. And we're not done. Trump kept going. Because I've invoked favored nation status for the USA, drug prices are falling at levels never seen before, 506%, 700% more. By the way, I hear this all the time. Was he so stupid to know that they can't fall 700%? It just falls 100%. Yeah, Trump knows that. He's a businessman. Of course he knows that. You know why he does this? 500, 600, 7%, 100%? Because he knows it sounds better. Because it knows it invokes more emotion. People see that and they're like, oh, yeah. Because most people aren't going to sit and think about what it means when he says this stuff. So I just got to clear that up. But he says, no other president's been able to do that. This is the answer to much less expensive and far better health care. Republicans, remember, this was done by us and nobody else. This is a revolution in medicine, the biggest and most important event ever. If this story is properly told, we should win the midterm election record numbers. I'm the affordability president. Talk loudly and proudly. So here he is setting the stage, and then he kept going. Healthcare, he just took that up. And then tariffs. Tariffs have made our country rich, strong, powerful, and safe. They've been successfully used by other countries against us for decades. But when it comes to tariffs, all because of what I've set in place, we have all the cards. Now, isn't that interesting? That's what he said to Zelensky in spring. We have the cards. What is Trump saying by this, isn't this messaging? He's telling us that the tariffs are actually the driver behind America getting back in control of our destiny, getting back in control of the world economy. That not that we're controlling all the world economy, but they were using us to fund it. They were using it and being tied into everything to blackmail us. Well, if we're so tied into each other, if we just do this, you guys are screwed. They were using all this globalization against us at every opportunity. By putting the tariffs in place, we put boundaries up, walls up, and we basically said, you have to have permission to work with us. You no longer get to just take from us whatever you want. That's why we have all the cards. Trump has reset the power balance. Now the globalists, the EU, they're no longer in control. And that's another thing. He just gave a shot across the bow by screaming out this, we have all the cards. He's telling them, we're in charge now of our country. you are no longer in charge. So however you want to see it, whether you like me and you see it as like this globalist city of London type that has been running the world economy for so long, and trying to create or control most world events, who controlled President Obama, who controlled Biden, who controlled Bush, who controlled Clinton. I mean, this deep state, like that's who the deep state works for. When I say deep state, I mean like the intelligence agencies and the embedded bureaucracy. That's who they work for. And they pay off politicians and crooked politicians. That's what we've been purging. He's telling them, you guys no longer have any control. And it's the tariffs, interestingly enough, that are allowing this. It's breaking us free of this free trade thing that was siphoning our wealth away, killing our middle class, killing our lower class, and only enriching those at the very top. There's a reason why Wall Street loves free trade. There's a reason why most politicians love free trade. It enriches them, and they like to make all those backroom deals. That's who's funding them, funding their nonprofits, which all that money comes back to them one way or the other. With a smart president, we always will. So we have all the cards, and with a smart president, we always will. In other words, unless we go backwards, unless we give it back, we're going to be fine going forward. This is interesting. Wars have been stopped. And what's he saying right there? He's telling us that all these wars, most of them are financial wars, banker wars. Trump won't say it the way we say it. I mean, sometimes he does. But he doesn't, talk like the conspiracy theorists do. And there's a couple reasons for that. A, it's smarter not to be directly tied to him for a lot of reasons. The middle people, the normies don't get it. They hear stuff like that and it's a red flag to them. But also he wants us to do our homework. He doesn't want to make it easy for us, but he figures we're smart enough to see what he's doing. And that also shows that like what he is doing is more real. It's more real than what a lot of the conspiracy types would say. The people who do think all this could be undone with a snap of a finger, or a lot of the stuff that hasn't been true, that's gone too far. I think Trump likes to keep us working for it. He likes to keep us on edge, but still message to us. Wars have been stopped. Stronger relationships with other countries have been built, even though they are not allowed to rip off the United States anymore. In other words, Trump's just saying we're back to a fair relationship. Stock market 401ks hit all-time high. Inflation, prices, and taxes are down. Education being brought back to the states where it belongs. Our military and southern border is strongest they've ever been. USA is respected again, respected like never before. All this was brought about by strong leadership and tariffs, without which we would be a poor and pathetic laughingstock again. And this is very interesting at the end here. Evil, American-hating forces are fighting us at the U.S. Supreme Court. Pray to God, the 9 justices will show great wisdom and do the right thing for America. Right there, he's doing a couple of things. He's sending a message to the Supreme Court. Like, these people who are trying to stop this are actually evil, and they hate us. So come on, what are you going to do about that? This is up to you. And B, he's sending it out to the people. Like, what is there not to like? And I know the libertards are going to be like, oh, this is, free. We need to be pure capitalists. And that's pure capitalism doesn't work unless everybody agrees to it. You can't have pure capitalist interactions with socialist countries who are going to rip you off. You can't. You can't have deals with them. But within our borders, sure, we can be pure capitalists. I'm all for that. I love that. I want that. But it doesn't work when you sit, because capitalism, if it's not honored by both parties, it does create opportunities to rip each other off. And that's what's been happening to us. These other countries don't honor it because they impose tariffs on us and we don't do it on them. And so they're able to just keep ripping us off. They're not being capitalist. We were. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So pull it back. But that's what the libertards will fight. But what Trump's saying is basically everything these are bringing about is good. How could you be against them? And what's funny, and I've showed you guys the clips before, is that it used to be the Democrats were the party of tariffs. Not all of them, but we have on record Nancy Pelosi speaking about we need more tariffs, Bernie Sanders, Obama, all of them. Why? Because when it was convenient for them to fight for the working man, they did in their language, but they didn't do it through their actions. They knew what to say. They knew what the right answers were to get in power. But once they're in power, they all gave in. Let's just keep milking this, keep giving it away. But they knew all along the real answer to help with the middle class was tariffs. They knew it because once upon a time, years and years and years ago, the Democratic Party was a little bit more working class friendly than the Republican Party. JFK, perfect example. There was an example of that once upon a time for a season. They knew it and they used it. And then when it was no longer convenient, they dumped on it. And speaking of the tariffs, they just were announcing this weekend that we're at a record for the month. And as Trump said the other day, we haven't even begun to see the full revenue that's going to come in from the tariffs because many of this year, once the tariffs were announced, a lot of people brought in their inventories early. They overpaid to stock up more than usual so that they could avoid the tariff pricing for a while. But in 2026, as all that inventory is lower and people are having to restock, that's when the tariff revenue is going to soar. And, Trump mentioned again the other day getting rid of the income tax because of the tariffs. We're going to have to see a lot more money for that, but is it eventually possible? Absolutely. I think Trump's trying to get rid of the Fed. I think he's trying to get rid of income tax. It'll take a work of Congress. But I don't think it'll happen in Trump's presidency. But if we have a couple more elections, we keep winning. We keep getting the right people in Congress. We get rid of the stupid filibuster. All of a sudden, maybe with President J.D. Vance in 2028 or 2030, you have a Congress and another president who's willing to do it. We could actually completely see a reset to our financial system. And that, my friends, would unleash ingenuity and prosperity in this country like you wouldn't believe. It's incredible. So while Trump's doing all this, just going scorched earth, another really interesting thing is going on, and that's Venezuela. So Trump's gone all out. We're dealing with the immigrants here at full on in a way we never have before. And then he's mentioning his policies. He's doubling down on the tariffs. He's telling about affordability, healthcare. He's doing all of that to set up the midterms, to reignite MAGA, show us how well we're doing, how well he's doing, how well he's not losing the message. He's going to make sure this all works for us. That was all domestic policy. All very America first domestic policy. Really good stuff. And then he's ramping up Venezuela. It says to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Why? Why close the airspace around Venezuela? Now, there's a lot of people, and you can always count on the libertards for this. We got Dave Smith already doing podcasts on another stupid war. No, we're not going all out war with Venezuela. It's not going to be what you think it is. We might do a quick shock and awe campaign, but we're just getting out Maduro, and we need to. Now, I already told you guys on one of the main reasons is the elections, but there's more going on here, and this guy breaks it down really well. It says, I finally get it. Seditious Six are desperate to stop military action in Venezuela because it's the linchpin to the CIA control over the narco cartels and money laundering operations in South America. In other words, Venezuela is the key to dismantling the deep state's power. It's one of the last areas they have left. And there's more to it than that. The election rigging by the machines was centered in Venezuela. We have numerous reports of that going back 5+ years. So Venezuela tied to the election rigging. Then you have this, and then you also have the ties to China in the oil. This gives us much more leverage over China. There's a lot of reasons why Trump is ousting Maduro and striking their cartels, designating them terrorist organizations, striking these boats, not allowing them to get to America. It's all out pressure. He's defanging the deep state, their money. With Ukraine about to be cut off, which is true, Maduro's the only place they can turn. If Trump takes them out, it's game over for the deep state douchebags. That's why they must have rebellion in the military. He's absolutely right. So Trump is, again, the chess pieces, remember? Get all the chess pieces into place, and then you can go for the checkmate. One of the reasons Trump worked so hard this year abroad, and he did plenty here at home too. I mean, we got the deportation started, ramped up ICE, got the big, beautiful bill passed, which funded that, which created work requirements for welfare again, which gave us the biggest tax cut ever. All that stuff. Massive, massive first year. And he's getting accused of not caring about America because he's been overseas so much. But that's important because they were always going to try to get us back into World War III or sucked into another Middle East war. And Trump has taken all that off the table. He has created new alliances, created new peace deals, created new trade deals. All of it is going to pay off. And he had to do it first because if not, everything he did here could have been undone by going off to war. Or if they sucked him in, he would not have been able to pay attention to this. So he had to stop the war machine. He had to stop all of our, all the deep state proxies. He had to choke them all out. And they are getting weaker and weaker by the day. And so Venezuela is going to be the one place we apply force because they're not already in a war or anything like that. I don't think we're getting into a war, but I am interested in how Trump's going to pull this off. Trump is not a warmonger. He hates war. He hates innocent people dying. He never wants to get involved in that. That's why he is the first president in my lifetime and going back further than my life where we've not seen him get us into anything where there's been boots on the ground. He's conducted a few strikes, obviously, but we haven't had boots on the ground engagement with Trump. And then it brings us to Ukraine, about to be over. Well, listen to this. Zelensky's done. Anti-corruption authorities raided Zelensky's offices in Kiev, along with his right-hand man, the chief of staff to the president, Andriy Yermak, often seen as Ukraine's second most powerful man. Peace is now imminent. Zelensky's going bye-bye. And with Zelensky gone, the war is over because they're going to realize that this corrupt guy was keeping the war going for his own purposes and for Europe's, a.k.a. the globalists, a.k.a. City of London. That's what it's all been about this whole time. This has been their money machine to keep it rolling in order to try to get World War III going, in order to keep Russia off their backs. Not from war, but for economic growth. They hate Russia. They always hated Russia because Russia's always remained sovereign. Russia's always remained independent, didn't want to be part of the EU, never wanted to be part of this. They just wanted to be Russia. So they've always been trying to take out Russia since the early 1800s. You can look back at the history between Britain and Russia. That's very true. They hate the Russians. And so you have all this going on, and now they kept Ukraine going. Ukraine was the number one place for money laundering. It was the number one place for sex trafficking, and also 19 biolabs there. May have been where COVID was introduced. It has been the main place where the West, the corrupt governments of the West, have been gaining their behind-the-scenes power, gaining their behind-the-scenes money, laundering it all. Remember, 2017, New York Times, or I think it's 2017, it might have been 2016, New York Times headline, Ukraine's the most corrupt government in the world. Nothing's changed. But once it's all exposed, as it's being done right now, and I guarantee you, this is all part of the plan. Trump met with Putin a few months back in Alaska. What did they talk about? We covered it on my show. I told you they were working on an economic alliance that was going to be massively beneficial for both countries, as well as peace details. Well, they didn't get peace with Ukraine out of it. It kept going. But I do think it's interesting when they introduced that 28-point plan. A lot of that 28-point plan was new engagement between USA and Russia economically. Very interesting. And now, as they introduced the peace plan, finally, the one that actually talks about this connection between Russia and the U.S., they're introducing all of that right as Zelensky is about to be busted for corruption. You're telling me that timing's coincidental? There's no way. I think Trump and Putin knew this was coming all along, and we're just waiting for the perfect timing for it. I'll get to the comments in a minute. I'm almost done with this stuff. Now, somebody mentioned this earlier, so this is more of what's going on right now, which is huge. Oh, or not. I guess this disappeared. Let's see if it. Okay, well, the tweet I had pulled up, ready to go, has now been deleted, so I'll have to double check if it's true. But it was reported by Mario Nawfal. He's usually good. But what he reported is that the Republicans have now introduced an act to go after corrupt judges and rogue judges. So hoping that's true. Again, now the post is no longer available, so maybe it's not true. It was a good source that's usually trustworthy. But I will do more information on that, and I'll get back to you guys on that one. Okay. A couple last things. This was just fun. Trump posted the fake news, the race. And the reason I wanted to share this with you guys is just be careful about your sources, okay? CNN, MSNBC, Politico, Washington Post. You guys already know that. But it just shows you that the Trump team, how many times have reports come out already and been wrong? So this is more important than ever because of the PSYOP going on. And I mean, when you have Trump busting this out, which this is bigger than we know, this whole immigration crackdown, it's bigger than we know. And now that the Trump team is fully on offense, and I'm not saying they were not on offense before, but now they're more open about it and we're moving faster. And part of it is, I think, the timing because of what happened last week with the National Guardsmen. I believe it's also timing because now the Epstein thing is over and that's going to start hurting the Democrats. I just believe all this is kind of lining up for us to be full on offense from now on all through 2026 and going forward. But it's more important than ever with them on offense to remember that most stuff that's going to cross your plate is not going to be true. It's not going to be true. It's not going to be trustworthy. I mean, think of how many times we've already been told that Trump's such and such, he's firing such and such, this person's on their way out, and none of it ever happened. There is constant noise being thrown at us right now. And it's only going to ramp up now that we're going for their throat. As illegal immigration is drying up, the Ukraine war is about to end, Venezuela, all that corruption there. Soon, the globalists are going to have nowhere to go. They're not going to have, as Trump said in the terrorist thing, they're not going to have any cards. What did Trump say in that tweet? He didn't say we have most of the cards. He didn't say we have the best cards. He said we have all the cards. Well, that's about to be true in almost every single area. And we need to keep getting this message out because we got to win the midterms. I think going into 2026, with all this happening, with the benefits starting to trickle in of the deregulation, the tax cuts, the deportations, a lot of that's going to be economic benefits. All the tariffs, the investments coming in from other countries starting to take place. I think we're about to see a massive economic boom. And on top of that, you get the law and order president and you get the peacetime president. This is going to be an unbeatable combination. And I think it's all going to start showing major, what's the word I'm looking for? We're actually going to start seeing major tangible results before the summertime. And those of us paying attention right now are ahead of the game. We can see what to look forward to. The Trump team's not playing around again. So, say our prayers for the National Guardsmen's family who died. It's horrible. This stuff cannot be tolerated. It has to end now. But in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we need to give thanks that we have a president who recognizes this and is doing something about it. It's not cheap words anymore. He's a man of action. And anybody who is dooming about the Trump presidency, I do not understand you. I think things are incredible right now. We are getting stuff that I just never thought we'd see. And if nothing else, if you're still skeptical or still scared or still worried, if nothing else, looking at this message and the other things that just happened this past week, you can bet that Trump gets it and he's trying. And I believe he's going to fully win. And because I do believe, as always, and still to this day, do believe that this is all God ordained. I believe that this is God's answer to the prayers of Americans for decades, struggling, wanting our country back, praying for America to be stronger than ever, praying for America to get better, praying for our kids, our grandkids. I believe this is the answer. And it came in the most unlikely form. But look at what we're getting. And that, my friends, should greatly, greatly encourage you going forward. And I mean, look at this. This is Kevin Hassett today. I'm not going to play the clip, but we just had the best Black Friday we've ever seen. Retailers expect both online and in-store sales are going to be the highest we've ever seen. Now, what have I been telling you guys? The Wall Street might be going through something really strong here soon. And there's been some crazy stuff going on Wall Street that I don't have time to get into. But we might fully see a crash or a correction coming up. But this tells you right now that even with the benefits drying up, even with reapplying for SNAP and all these issues we had, Americans are Main Street is starting to heal. And this healing is just going to continue. What Trump's done is for Main Street, not for Wall Street. And that should get you excited over everything else. Okay. Let me see here. And your Kentucky Jackson only slightly more qualified than Tito Jackson. I love that. Michael Tucker says LBJ got rid of JFK and the Great Society furthered the policies ingrained in the Socialist New Deal. 100%. I can't agree with you more on that. Absolutely. What's up, William Collins? RFW says, without illegals and dead people, Dems are going to have a very hard time stealing elections. Yeah, well, not just that. Also with Venezuela gone, controlling the machines. I mean, Trump's shoring all this up. Now, we got to pray and hope that the Republicans get the cojones to kill the filibuster, because then we can get full election integrity passed as well. And then it's game over. It's absolutely game over. So anyways, thanks guys for listening to me. I know I went just nonstop today, but there's a lot to cover. But please take a second, like, subscribe. Love you guys. Appreciate you. You guys are the absolute best. Listen, if you want to support the channel, you can go in the description right now, click that link, get a free month to Patreon. After that, you can decide if you want to give the $5 a month you'll get members lives and Discord access as a result. And that's great stuff. 24/7 Discord's going, good stuff in there. And then the members lives, by the way, coming into this next year, I know that the members lives have been a little inconsistent the last month because I've been so busy. I get it. I'm sorry. They will be getting back on track. And in the new year, I'm going to try something different with the members' lives. And so I'm hashing that out right now, and I'm excited to bring that up to you guys soon. So I will let you know on that. But anyways, if you want to get a part of that, get in for a free month. Just click that link. If you're on X watching, thank you for watching. Go to my pinned post and you'll find the link to get into the Patreon for free. And with that said, guys, please like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, whatever platform you're on. I appreciate you. You guys are the absolute best. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday evening, hopefully with friends or family. And I will see you guys all tomorrow night, Monday night. And I'm sure much more. I'm sure it's going to be a wild week, because this is going to be the week of response to everything Trump just dropped the bomb on during the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm expecting some fireworks this week. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So tune in tomorrow. I will be covering everything about that on Tuesday. So let's end in a prayer, because God knows we need it, especially as this is continuing. So Father, thank you for today. God, I pray for wisdom and protection over the Trump team, especially as the Dems have fully launched a color revolution. I just pray, God, you give them every bit of wisdom in fighting that and turning it against them. Lord, I pray for this group here, everybody watching, you'd bless them, be with them, Father, give them wisdom in their day-to-day happenings, Lord, but just bless them, bless the work of their hands, bless their relationships, and everything else, Lord. I thank you for what you're doing. And Father, we just pray for peace and prosperity in our country to come back, and justice, Lord. We want justice, and I'm so glad we're seeing more of that coming every day. But God, I just pray that it all comes to fruition, that you finish everything you started in this movement, that we can get the fullness of it for our grandkids, for our children, and our great-grandkids, Lord, going forward. America, we leave them, will be better than the one we got. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a blessed night. And I'll